Hello, this is Mark from Sinewave, and in this video, I wanted to go over a part 4 of mobile site survey. Currently, we have 3 parts up until this one here that will give you everything you need to know to do mobile site survey when you're using a single router. So that's really what led to part 4 was after you want that, you want to run multiple routers, what does the configuration look like? Because it is different. This came up, and what we discovered was doing a multitude of routers. In my particular instance, it was 150, in some cases 200 routers. That becomes a little bit different of a configuration. We assumed it was going to be very seamless, but this had brought up an issue with Cradlepoint, which we had spoken to them, and they said they do now realize that that is not as user-friendly. So they're going to try to work on fixing the SDK to allow you to do a plethora of routers, and it'd be a very easy configuration. So as of December 2nd, 2025, today, this is how you have to do this until Cradlepoint puts out a different fix for this SDK. And so what we're not going to do is we're not going to go over where to get the SDK, how to add it to NCM, how to add it to a group, creating a group. If you missed all that or don't know, you need to go back and look at part 1, 2, and 3. And now we'll also show you like how to compile the data and make a map out of it. This video is strictly focused on the configuration that you want to do for a group that is going to have a bunch of different routers in that group utilizing the same SDK. So with that, we have a group. Here's our mobile site survey group. We are running the latest version of the SDK, which is 3.0. One thing I'm not going to be able to show in here is a bunch of routers in this group because I only have one for an R1900, and just know that it's going to work the same way. So in here, if we go back to groups, again, my mobile site survey group, configuration edit, what I want to show is that there is no configuration in this SDK data. So if you go down to system, SDK data, you see no line here. This will make sense here in a minute, but just notice there's no line. The SDK was added to this group, but there's no application data here, meaning it's simply waiting for one router to be dropped in this group to take that configuration, and that is done at the router level. But how do you do that at scale when it's a bunch of routers? And that's what we're addressing here today. So if we look at devices, I had moved this one router here to the mobile site survey group. And if we do the same thing and go to configuration and edit and look at that same application data set, so system, SDK data, we notice it right here. This is what we see. Now this line of code, if we click edit, we can go through here and we can copy it. If we need to, we can create new code. But this, all this is derived from, if we go into troubleshooting, remote connect, and LAN manager. Again, if this doesn't make sense, go back and watch the other videos. But we created the loopback address that goes to the SDK that resides on this router. So if we click open here, it's going to go to this page. This is the new 3.0. It looks different, but it's functional as 2.5.5 or even 2.3 something, I think. It's the same functionality. This is all default. So every change you make in here, let's say we do, instead of 50 meters, we do, it's 300 meters, let's say, keep that on. We go to, let's save. I recommend you saving these often, by the way. Advanced, we want full diagnostics. Let's say we don't want surveyors, save that. Enable send to server. We put our token in here, whatever your token may be. Again, look at episode 1 through 3. And then we save this. Then all this, once we hit save, gets written back into this line of code on the device, not in the group, on the device. So if we go to system, SDK, it'll all get written here. All right, now that we know that, so here's what we have to do. We have one router in there. Here's what we need to do. if we want to add a bunch of routers in here and not have it apply to this router. This is a little bit cumbersome, but this is just the way it is for right now. I'm going to go and hit edit, and this value, after I get done changing all my configurations, I say, hey, here's my set configuration. We're going to run all our routers at 300 meters distance or whatever. You can do it by time or whatever you want to do. Whatever this is set for, and you say, I want to apply this to all the routers. We hit save. We let that take effect in here. I mean, maybe even for a good measure. There's nothing to change. Maybe we can do commit changes, but it should take effect in here. It might take a second to do, so give it a minute. But after that, you can see right here, distance 300 meter enabled. So there we go, it did work. After that, we're going to go in here, click edit, click the value, Control A to copy all of it, and then Control C. We're going to copy all this. We're going to bring this over into Notepad, just like this. Okay, so we can manipulate things here. If you want to do it here and you know what you're doing, if you know what you're doing, and you want to manipulate your configuration in this, you certainly can do that. But this is just where I'm going to paste it. Move it to the side. Then we're going to go back out to devices, click on this device. We're going to move this device, and we're going to move it with under no group. Okay, so that's going to take a second. Then let me go back. If in devices, we're going to go back in the same router configuration and edit. Go down to System, SDK Data, and you notice it maintained this. It will hold this until you reset the router, or we click remove. And when I say reset the router, I mean reboot. We're going to hit save. Now there's nothing in there. We're going to confirm those changes. Again, I know this is not the simplest of ways to do this. Cradlepoint said they're going to work on it, and I take them at their word because they've been really awesome responding to a few things I've had questions on and critiques on. So I take them at their word. I know the guy actually runs that in the back end, and he's a phenomenal individual. So very hardworking guy. Now we go back into groups. Then we go to the SDK, or excuse me, the group with the SDK in it. We're going to hit configure and edit. And I'll explain why here in a second. We're going to go down to System, SDK Data. And again, remember at the very beginning of this video, there was nothing here, and it still is like that. So we're going to add, we're going to call this mobile site, just for short. We're going to do MSS1. We're going to take the value to be copied from the other one, and we're going to add it here. Same server token and everything. We're going to hit save. And then we're going to commit this. If we view pending changes, I don't know why it doesn't show anything in there, but it doesn't. It's kind of weird. It won't show anything for view pending changes in here. There we go, finally. Maybe I didn't hit the save button, perhaps. I thought I did. Commit. Now, while this is doing that, the reason why we're doing this is now that this configuration lies at the group level. Notice when we put one router in there, it picked up the SDK we put in this group. When you put another router in there, it doesn't grab anything because one router has already taken that quote-unquote configuration from that SDK we added to the group. So we take the actual SDK data set from the particular router and we apply it to the entire group. Now, when we add routers to this group, it has something to grab a hold of, this line. Now, with that, let's say you're running dual modem. Well, then what I would do, copy this off again. What I would do is add MSS2, for example. You can name it whatever, by the way. Name it whatever. And then I would attach that. Because every single modem in a router, so R1900 has one modem. You add a dock with a modem in it, that's a second modem. You add more modems to it, then we want to make sure that we have a data set for that modem to utilize. So if R1900, you're running 2 modems, then you'll use 2 of these at a time. And then we'll commit that. Now we can go back to devices again, just to prove my point here, or just, I guess, to verify really. We're going to look at the SDK data again, system, SDK data, nothing's there, got it. Then we're going to move this guy over to our SDK group. Give that a minute to take it. I'm going to pause here because that might take a second. All right, now we have our device in the MSS group. And then again, let's go back to the group itself just to look what we got going on here. We can look in the system SDK data. We see we have our 2 application data sets. Now, behind this, there's going to be one default, right? So the default will be like mobile site survey name, and it's going to have another value, the same value, quite frankly. But that'll get used once, and after that, it doesn't get used again, from what I understand. So this is why we create these 2 additional ones. Really, you only need 1 additional one unless you're running, multi-modem. Then we're going to need more. We'll need 2 in that instance. So now let's go back and look at devices, and then same thing. We'll give a look. This should have picked up 3. Just because 1, I'm not, it's the first router put in there. So it's going to pick up the default, and then it's going to pick up this 2. Yeah. So mobile site survey, that's the default one. This will get used once. We really can delete this one out. Notice that the distance, right? So this is not the same as these. So really we can just delete that one out. You should only have to do this once. From what I understand, you should only have to do this once to this one router. So we can delete that one out. And this would be, again, for a dual modem setup. So I don't have dual modem on this one. But that should be it. Now, every other router we put in there should pick up the same thing. So now they're all reaching back to the group to pick up this SDK data set to apply to all routers. So that should be it, these 2 right here. Again, those will reflect what you make changes to in here, and then that'll be that. I was going to run this just to see what it looks like. And we can also download these results from here in a CSV file. Take a look at them, or you can go to your server that you're sending this all to. This token is completely arbitrary, so I would not copy that off. But other than that, that should be everything. So if you have any other questions, let me know. I think that covers everything. Again, you can reach me at mark@synwave, SYNWAVE.io. And thanks for watching.